Hey guys, it's TRIZE here, and what you're seeing right now is one of my latest automation builds called the Fiat-Abarth 900 SS. This fictional variant based on the Fiat 500 is the top-of-the-line performance model made by the Italian manufacturer. It's a quick, nimble car for its time period as it weighs less than a ton and can reach speeds of nearly 100 miles per hour. Tell that to American car makers. Anyways, I'll explain the details of this car throughout this portion of the video. It has a lap time of 1 minute 51 seconds, 97 milliseconds at the quote-unquote Top Gear test track, and 3 minutes 4 seconds, 69 milliseconds is a nice number at the automation track. It has a top speed of 87.8 miles per hour and a 0 to 60 in 13.4 seconds. This vehicle is powered by an 899cc inline-3 engine that produces 53.8 horsepower and 52 pounds-feet of torque. It has a fuel efficiency rating of 20.2 miles per gallon and weighs 1,282.2 pounds, which equals to 581.6 kilograms. And now, let's go over the specs of this vehicle. In terms of how I made the Fiat-Abarth 900, the SS model, the panel material will be made out of regular steel with a monocoque chassis also made out of regular steel. If you can see this, which unfortunately I can't hide the body for some odd reason, but we're using a rear longitudinal engine placement, and the front suspension we are using is a solid axle leaf suspension, and for the rear, our only option we're using, it's a double wishbone suspension. For this here engine, it's an inline-3 engine made of a cast iron with the bore set to a 69.7 millimeters and the stroke at a 78.5 millimeters, which gets our engine size to 899 cubic centimeters, running on a push rod 2-valve setup also made out of cast iron. For the balance shaft, we're required to have a harmonic damper built in to reduce the chance the crankshaft from exploding due to high RPM stress issues, and the crank count rods and piston just boring old cast irons, cast iron crank, cast count rods, and cast pistons. For the compression, it is set at a pretty normal rating of a 9.0 to 1 ratio, with the cam profile set just 5 clicks up to a 75, and for the springs and lifter, stiffness quite a bit to a 63. For the fuel system, we're using some DCLE carburetors, a single carb setup with performance mid-intake, which basically DCLEs are like Weber carburetors, but this is not the ones that are used to, like the racing setup, which we got right here, but instead, performance mid because it's the best in terms of the power rating and everything. So anyways, we're using leaded fuel with the fuel mixture set to a 14.0 at a nearly but a full-blown lean setting, with the ignition timing set to a 61 and the RPM limit is set to a 6100 RPM. And finally, for the exhaust, we're using some tubular headers. With a single exhaust, the exhaust diameter set to a 25.4 millimeters, which equals to 1 inch. And since we're using leaded fuel, we got no cats, no first buffer, but a second reverse flow buffer to reduce the amount of sound and surprisingly increase performance. And while we're at it, let's give it here what this little 3-cylinder engine sounds like right now. Damn, the engine's pretty loud despite having a 1-inch exhaust and a single muffler. Just why? So for the rest of the vehicle with the drive type, our only option we're using is a rear drive setup because of being a rear engine with a manual 4-speed with the top speed set to a 90.4 miles per hour. Even though according to this graph right here, we are set to around 88 miles an hour at freaking DeLorean speeds. But unfortunately in automation, we can't reach 90 miles an hour, but in BeamNG, it's a whole different story, which we'll see a little bit later. For the tires, we're using some cross-ply medium compound tires with the front and rear tire with each set to 125 millimeters front and back, running on some 12-inch steel rims. And also with the tires right here, if I go to this graph here, if I go to some hard, long-life tires, then we do get some good amount of oversteered slow speeds. When we go to medium compound tires, then boom, we get some oversteering. For the brakes, we're using some symmetrical drum brakes up in here, both a single shoe, front and back, with the size each set to 180 millimeters. And under tray, no under tray, a little bit of brake airflow. For the interior of this vehicle, I do not have an interior setup because it was kind of awkward putting the seats in and the dashboard of this particular car, so I couldn't add that whatsoever, which is unfortunate. So pretending we do got one, we got ourselves 5 seats, 2 in the front, 3 in the back, with a standard interior and no entertainment whatsoever. Now for the safety and all that good stuff, we got no power steering, no traction aids, and stereotypical 1950s standard safety standards. And finally, for the suspension and everything, pretty basic, standard springs, twin 2 dampers, passive sway bars, running on a normal preset, right? No, sport preset. Despite having a half a dozen problems on here, such as some extreme oversteering issues, the front rear dampers being too hard, the front tires being so wide, and some brake fade issues, let's jump on over to BeamNG.drive to test drive this little Italian sports car. So here we are at the map of Italy. Instead of doing a design overview, which I do pretty much like on all my videos, I'm just pretty much going to jump straight into the basic performance test of this vehicle because you pretty much got an idea. You can see the rear of the vehicle, the side of the vehicle, the front, all that good stuff. So I'm going to retire doing that and just jump straight to the basic performance test of BeamNG. So if you don't know my basic performance test, we start off with the 0 to 62 acceleration test, followed by the 62 to 0 brake test, and finally the top speed run, which I guarantee you with the airport section of the map of Italy, we should reach its top speed of the DeLorean speed of 88 miles an hour. We should pretty much reach that pretty much no problem. So start off with the 0 to 62 acceleration test right now. Accelerate as we go, start into first gear and jump into second gear at 25 miles an hour. And third gear should have 41 miles an hour, but I think if we go into fourth gear, that's where we pretty much reach highway speed. So 61, 0 to 62 at 12.82 seconds of 706.46 feet. If I'll tune the spacing a little bit more to make it a little bit more taller in third gear, then we would probably reach 0 to 62 in like 12 seconds or something like that. So for the brakes, start now. 62 as we go, slamming the brakes and sliding with no ABS. Barely did that as we backed up. 62 to 0 in 3.42 seconds of 150.06 feet. Time-wise, not a big fan of, despite being a very light 1,200-pound car right here. Distance-wise, same thing. Not a big fan of the distance and time-wise, despite having no ABS brakes, but we should probably just leave it right there, I guess. So for a top speed run already in effect, I did a wheel spin launch, or a rev right there, a launch right there, 11.70 seconds of 688.78 feet. Not too bad. So fourth gear we're going, and we're not even close to terminals yet in the control tower. We're about to reach top speed. Where we're at right now. Let's see, top speed. We reach top speed. Red line. Right at our taxiway, the main terminal gates here. We reached the top speed from the back of the runway to the terminal. Man, it's kind of interesting. 91 miles an hour, everything as is. There goes the crash. We did a backflip, and surprisingly, the engine still, I would say surprisingly, but the engine still runs as so. So let's not F7 our car. Let's use a node grabber and just be very careful to see what the car is like for the aftermath destruction of this vehicle. So speed up a little bit. We made it worse. Keep on flipping. Keep on doing this and that. Please, I just want to see what the destruction's like as we're on our back like a dumbass tortoise. Never mind. So if you have to destruction of the vehicle, as I reset the camera, we get the glitchiness camera. So the rear of the vehicle, oh my god, the bumper is like glitched out up in here, including some of the font right here with the Fiat-Abarth 900 SS badge. Going towards the side, oh boy, towards the front. Oh, you can really see. We haven't turned the headlights. Where are they at? Well, we got the headlights pointing down. That headlight's gone to the right, or no, you can see it right here on the right. And what is this thing right here? Is this like a drag race or something? Let me see. Oh, it is a drag race. Okay, we're going to stay here and do a drag race with like a couple of cars like the Piccolina, which is basically a competitor, this car, and a couple other cars, and then we'll just throw this on the track. So this is the first time for me using the drag race portion for Italy. So we got the 130 model, the Piccolina, the mid-trim model. He's also a manual like mine. So we're on the line right here. So he's got to do his. Let's see. Do your thing. And wait for it. Too late. Get ready to go. And I about did a false start right there. Jesus, man. Oh yeah, this is a manual gearbox, so we're gonna shift SO. So he's beating me right now. Where's the finish time? Is it the end of the runway? Is this a half stretch? Mile stretch? What are we doing? I can kind of see the lights way in the distance, so he beat me at the starting line. So the 130 Piccolina, we're gonna pass him right now. We're passing him as we go DeLorean speeds. I don't know his top speed, so we may as well beat him. Yeah, this might be the half stretch or the 1 mile. I don't know how long this is. So we do get a time of 36 seconds, 791 milliseconds, around 90 miles an hour. He got a 37 seconds, 587 milliseconds of 88 miles an hour. So it was pretty much even with the 130 Piccolina versus my car. So not that bad. So let's throw this onto a track right now. So over the time trial, we're going to be staying in Italy, but with the modded street course version, the Norte Street Circuit, which is a mod you can download in the BeamNG repository with this here vehicle. And I believe how this is going to set up, if I cross the start and finish line, this will count as a lap, so we're going to be doing 2 laps, technically 1, because our first lap will just be crossing with like a few seconds after cross the start and finish line, and then the other lap will be my second lap. It was kind of weird how the mod offer had set this up, so we're going to be doing this in the noon hours, so take it to starting line right now. So here we are in the visible start and finish line as we got going right here. We got the barrier set, and we got a turn right up ahead, it looks like. So let's get ready to start here in 3, 2, 1, rev it, go. And we got the power graph, the top right portion of my screen. Let's rightfully ignore that. And of course, with driving, I'm still using a controller, but I believe this will probably be the last time I'm going to use a controller for BeamNG, even though I've been using a steering wheel recently for Gran Turismo. Let's see. So yeah, my first lap would have been 19 seconds, but this will count right here. This second lap by hot lapping. That's a chicane. All right, brake here. Ooh, that's tight. That was pretty tight. I braked a little bit too late, but we got to turn left again. And it's right here. Right-hander? Please, right-hander? Good. So, to say, for Gran Turismo, I did use my steering wheel recently, a Thrustmaster T150 that's in used condition, but I did buy a GT Omega wheel stand for around $130 on Amazon. The used wheel with the technically it's a Thrustmaster T80 pedals, which also works with the T150, that cost me about $100 used. So I did debut that in Gran Turismo for the first time ever on my channel, but in terms of BeamNG and everything, I will use this probably in the next Automation of BeamNG video where I use a steering wheel for PC. Because I've been a long-time controller user, and I do want to get a feel what a car is like driving in a video game to pretty much get a pretty good feel what it's like driving on a track at a high speed rather than driving that handbrake turn in real life, as I am a licensed driver in real life. So here we are at this final straightaway, so let's go through this useless checkpoint. So we get the hot lap time of 1 minute 50 seconds, 158 milliseconds, which gets our total time to 2 minutes 8 seconds, which pretty much doesn't count. Our second lap is our first lap. That'll be it right here, folks. So go to free roam, crash straight ahead, everything. No, slow this down, slow this down. 8 times slow-mo, go. What's it like? We got the bandits of the vehicle, we got a tire. We're going to fly away, Stanley, be free moment, and I think those are the 2 mirrors, I believe. So let's go to full time. Engine still works, and I believe the other tire is about to run free as it just spins right up in here. This is interesting. So final look at the vehicle, just pan this around. We mashed this up big time at this here barrier where I screwed up earlier, not knowing that there's a chicane that exists at this here track, which is the first time I've ever driven with the Norte Street Circuit ever in person and on this channel. So for the final part of the video, let's jump on over to Brutal Slope to see if this fictional Italian model of the Fiat-Abarth Fiat 500 will really take off to be a mainstream little nimble performance sports car. So take it to the top of the ramp right now. So here we are sitting at the very tippy top of the hill here, ready to face the ramp, so let's accelerate as so, and go to first gear, to second gear, to third gear. Look at the supercar, frickin' 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. Somebody beat that right now, over rev risk. We're going beyond 7,000 RPM as we're gaining in pitch over here. Valve train damage, engine torque reduced, dead. 140 miles an hour, dead. So what speed are we going to get at the bottom of the ramp? Maybe like 190 miles an hour as we're about to be drifting left and right due to lack of aerodynamics and wide tires, keeping ourselves down on the road here. So 185 at the bottom of the ramp as we slowly decrease speed to a launch speed. 130 miles an hour launch speed. Technically, 132 to be specific. So front flip, front flip, front flip. Hey, we got a front flip and a half. I've never seen a car do a front flip before, so let's go to 16 times slow-mo. Here we go. Damn, the car is dead. The car is dead. It goes a wheel, a license plate, the mirror, another mirror, and all that good stuff. So the car has been flattened. Full time right now. And over end as we go. Still going over and over end. And upside down. Upside down with a sprinkled up vehicle. Engine is starved of oil. What do you think? The engine is deceased, cuh. So right away, we got the back tires holding up this body like it's a freaking gurney or something up in here. Like, this dude ain't working. We got a gurney. Just hold this dude in place and wait for an ambulance to come pick this body up or put this in a morgue or something. Put him in a body bag or a car bag. Car bag. Yeah, that's a more appropriate term for what this vehicle is. Alright, final part of the video, skateboard the very tip top of the hill here and accelerate down as we go into the grass to crash yourselves at what this thing I like to call is the old wedge thingy, aka a square block to get an interesting wedge-shaped look at a vehicle if you crash it at a very high speed. So here we go at 180 miles an hour, we're going to be crashing at a high speed of 185 miles, or pretty much at the bottom of the ramp that we got going here. So crash at this at a very high speed, let's get a camera going and I'll slow you down. So 16 to 100 times slow-mo, here is the vehicle as so. So here's the car into the wall. Okay, it's going in. It's going to have a wedge-shaped look, or it's going to be a square block as it crashes to the wall. And it recoils back. Let's go 16 times. Recoils back. The back tires are intact. That is crumpled up. Is that a piece of tire? That's a piece of tire right here, crumpled up right here, man. Car's in the air. Full time. And a bunch of frickin' dust going on for what? The license plate. The license plate kicked up all that dust for whatever reason. Weird. So let's not do this like before. Let's grab the vehicle to no grab, because if you F7 it, then you restore the vehicle, which is pretty weird with the 0.25 update. So, before we manage to do that, let's just reach at the bottom, look at the aftermath destruction of this vehicle. So with this here vehicle, we got this upside down with the engine being started of oil yet again. So it's not a wedge, but we're facing upward up here, looking at vehicular heaven as we crash that bad boy at 185 miles an hour, pretty much at supercar speeds or something. So yeah, looking at this engine started of oil again, you don't know what this vehicle is or what it was in this particular shape. So that'll do it with automation and BeamNG.drive with the Fiat-Abarth 900 SS. In terms of the vehicle's performance, it's slightly better than the Piccolina as I beat that in the drag race. It had a higher top speed and better acceleration than that car. For this car's handling, even though it uses cross-ply tires and automation claimed oversteering issues, that never happened. It handled well on the circuit like a true Italian sports car derived from the Fiat 500 from the 1960s. And for those who are interested in this type of content, please be sure to like and subscribe so you won't miss out on any videos like this in the future, and also check out my social media down in the description below. So this is TRIZE, rising up, and signing out.